Welcome back to my channel. You know, one of the reasons I bought a 4x8 CNC machine, which you can see right here, is I had this vision that someday I would do big doors, like a regular 82-inch tall door, and I would be able to 3D some really cool images on a door or a gate or something big like that. And I've really I got this machine about 3 years ago, I guess, 2.5 years ago. Maybe it's 3 years, I don't know, I can't keep track of time anymore. But my dream was always to be able to do that, to do 3D carvings on a wood door. And I've been practicing doing 3D off and on, and I feel like I'm at the point where I want to kind of take a chance, and I want to do a 3D door. And right here you can see on my CNC shop, my CNC room, what I want to do is some barn doors. So I want to have some barn doors that slide both ways, one on each side, but I want to do a 3D, some kind of 3D thing. So over here, I'll show you, I went ahead and I'm not going to bore you with the glue up procedure. Everybody knows how to glue things up. Basically, you want to surface each side and put plenty of glue on and glue them up and wipe off the excess glue. And so what I've done is I've got these cedar, these are 2x6 cedar that I've glued into one of the doors. And we're going to attempt to do a 3D carving on this door and create our own barn door. And I'm going to take you into the computer just for a second. I know a lot of guys don't like to watch the whole drawing of the computer drawing, but I'll kind of walk you through it a little bit. And because this is a pretty big, it's going to be my biggest 3D I've ever tried to do. I'm going to show you the tools in the drawing just to show you how I'm going to try to go about it. And I don't know if I'll be successful or not. But yeah, this is, of course, I'm using, how I glued it up is, obviously I glued in between all the boards, and I'm using 3/4 inch pipe clamps, and then I use these steel clamps to clamp it down flat. And normally when I do a 3D project, I would surface this first, but because I can only get the cedar 1.5 inches, and the 3D carving is over 1 inch. It's barely over 1 inch, like 1 1/8 inches. So it's only going to leave about 1/2 inch of a material in between the 3D carving. So I wanted to have as much material in there as possible. Anyway, let me take you into the drawing, and I'm just going to show you a little bit of the toolpath and the drawing that I'm going to do, and then we'll get this thing on the CNC table and we'll try our luck and see if we can't create a beautiful door.
Get dough. I can't get no sleep, which make my life more simple. But I wouldn't trade a thing for what I have. I go hard, do what I need to make it last. They say the good die young, I hope I'm bad. Cheers to my past.
Okay, welcome to my computer. Right off the bat, we're going to go up here to door template, and I'm going to show you what I've created, but I need to redo the tool files. So because I live up in the mountains, there's a lot of mining towns and stuff. So this is the door. This is what I came up with. A pick and shovel and some forest trees. And the outside will be solid up here. And then my idea is to do a little bit of steel bordering the whole outside. So that's my drawing. Now, how I drew that, basically, it was pretty easy. I went over here to clip art, and I went over here to, let's see, I think I just went to clip art. I went to objects and people, and then I scrolled down here and I found a 3D shovel and a 3D pick. Let's see if I can find, yeah, there's the pick right there. And then also there was a shovel right there. So that's how I created that. And then in my design make down here in design and make, I had purchased some trees. So right down here you see some trees. And I'm going to use these trees right here on the right that you can see I've already put in here. And I've done those before and they seem to look pretty good. Anyway, that's how I did the drawing, so I won't bore you with that. Now, up here you can see I got 4 tool paths. And this is really important because of how big this is. My idea is that so I'm gonna start over and show you these tool paths. So I'm gonna go ahead and delete all of these just to show you what I got in mind. Okay, so basically I got rid of all the tool paths. Now I'm gonna hold down the shift key. I'm gonna highlight everything here. Oops. Gotta hold down the shift key the whole time. Okay, so right there I've got everything highlighted. Now, because it's so big, I mean, you're talking, the whole door is 82 inches, but you got about 60 inches of 3D area. So we're going to go over here to the roughing toolpath, and we're going to select a large bit. Now, I already know that I have a Whiteside RD 5100. It's a downcut spiral bit, 1-inch cut length. And I'm going to do a roughing toolpath with this bit. I've never done this before. And I'm going to do 3D raster, which is going back and forth. Now, the only problem with that is that it leaves a little bit of an edge. So I'm going to have to do another toolpath to clean the edge later on. So we're going to go ahead down here and write 5100. That's the bit. And we'll go ahead and calculate. And you can see it when, let's go ahead and view that just so you can see the different views. So right there you can see it took a lot of material away, and it's still actually it's already taken shape with that, but it's not good enough for a 3D. So what you do, we'll close that, we'll leave that toolpath there, leave everything highlighted. Now we're going to do another toolpath. We're going to select, so that bit was 1/2 inch. Now we're going to select RD 2075. That's a downcut 1/4 inch spiral bit. We'll select that. Leave everything the same. We're going to do 3D raster, which is back and forth. We're going to write the number down, RD 2075, and calculate. Now, when you look at it again, we'll preview both of them. You can see that the detail is getting a little better, but it's not, it's still a lot of material. So now we're going to close that. We're going to go ahead and do another roughing toolpath. And this time we're going to do an 1/8 inch bit. Now the reason I'm doing all these toolpaths, we're going to use a bits and bits 1/8 inch bit right there. The reason I'm doing 3 different roughing toolpaths is because of how big this is. Right here I'm just going to put 0.125. That way I know it's an 1/8 inch. Hit calculate. Now you should be able to notice a little difference right there. Yeah, you can see it keeps getting more refined and refined. So that's all 3 roughing toolpaths. It's almost a nice door right there, even without the finishing toolpath. But now we're going to go, and this is the one that'll take the longest to do. We're going to go ahead and do our finishing toolpath. We're using a 46288. We'll go ahead and write that down. 46288. And calculate. And that's going to take the longest. You can see the yellow line down there. I'm not sure how many hours it's going to take. I remember there used to be a way I could look in here to see how long it took, which I'll try to figure that out later. But we're going to actually go in there and run all 4 of these programs and see if we can't create a really nice barn door with my CNC machine. So this will be pretty fun to try. And I've never ran more than 1 bit on a 3D drawing. Usually I'm using the really small bit and it takes a long time. So right there you can see that took a long time. Now we'll preview all, and there's a 1, 2, 3, and that's it, I guess. So you can see, look at the detail of the axe and the pick, and even the trees. The detail is really nice. Now, if you look closely on these sides, you see it leaves a ridge, and even on the shovels, it leaves like a little bit of a ridge. What we want to do, we want to run another finishing toolpath, and we're going to try. I haven't tried this before, but I'm going to try to run. Actually, what I'll do is I'll run another roughing toolpath with the eighth inch bit. So we're going to leave all that highlighted. So you saw those ridges in the shovel and stuff. So we'll go ahead and close that. We're going to run another roughing toolpath. Now we'll do this one before the finishing toolpath. We're going to leave that same bit in there. It's an 1/8 inch downcut spiral bit. Actually, we could change it to the 1/4 inch, but I want to make sure it does that last bit. Now see here where it says 3D raster. See this goes back and forth, side to side. But in order to get rid of those ridges, we're going to do a Z pass, which is a circular one. And we're going to go ahead and put final rough 0.125 because that's the bit size. And go ahead and calculate. Now I'm going to reset the preview. Reset this picture. Now we're going to go ahead and preview all toolpaths. Now it should take away that last bit if we run it right. So if we flip it sideways, now it still shows that. It still shows these ridges right there. I don't quite know why. I reset it, didn't I? Yeah. Preview. Oh, wait. Preview all. All right, let's see what happens there. It should be the 4th or 5th pass. It should clean that up. So it didn't clean that up. So those are still there, those little ridges. It looks like it cleaned it up on the shovel, though. Hard to tell. Now I could get in there and clean that with my Dremel, but I kind of want this to, so I'm going to get rid of that one because that didn't work. So we'll delete this. So we'll get rid of that one. Now we'll run another toolpath, but we're going to do it differently. So we're not going to do a roughing toolpath. We are going to, so we know if you go up here to material setup, we know that the model is 1.601. So we're going to write that down, 1.601. Is that right? Model thickness is 1.1601. Always double check your stuff. So now what I'm going to do, so I wrote that down, cancel that. I'm going to do just a simple, see, what do I want to do? I'm going to do a simple fluting toolpath. And we're going to do it on the inside of the line. Let's see how we do that. Now, it wouldn't be a fluting one. Oh, wait, right here. We're going to do a profile toolpath. We're going to go on the inside of this line. And up here, cut depth, we're going to put 1.1601, which is our model depth. And we're going to do just one pass because it's going to be super simple. We're going to do it at the end. It's not even going to be cutting much. All it's going to be doing is going in there and cleaning that line on the inside of this, on the inside of our thing. We don't need any tabs. We're not going through the material. We're going to just use the RD2075. It's a 1/4 inch bit. Go ahead and select that. Oh, you know what? Because it's 1 inch deep, we'll use the bigger bit. We'll use that bigger bit because it's a 1/2 inch. It's a 1 inch cut, so it should be able to go deep enough without any trouble. And we're not doing any tabs, no ramps. We'll leave it just say profile, but we'll put the bit number 5100. And we'll go ahead and calculate. Now we should be able to preview, we'll reset the preview all toolpaths, and that edge should be really clean when we're done. So there's the finishing, and now the edge goes right now, and I still see that. I still see those ridges. Why is that? It shouldn't be like that. Reset it. Preview all toolpaths. So we might have to change that one to on the line if it doesn't take out that ridge. Okay, so we're going to go down here, and right up here I'm going to put on the line. The only thing is I'm going to lose a 1/4 inch. Let's see if that fixes it. Reset preview, preview all. Should be coming up. And there it goes. So now that ridge is gone. And see how it's clean on the side? So I guess we're going to have to go with that. We'll lose a 1/4 inch, but that's not big a deal. So you can see right here, I have 5 toolpaths to do. 5 different tool changes. Pretty crazy. But this is what I always dreamed of doing, is this kind of thing. Really big, you know, hopefully beautiful doors. Anyway, let's get over the machine. I'm going to save this to a disk and we'll start the first process. Okay, right away I go down my Avid CNC checklist, and there's about 10 items on there. And I always go through that and make sure I haven't forgot anything. Get my shop vac turned on, XYZ the program. Now right off the bat, I'm gonna be honest and tell you that this was a failure. What happened was, you cannot run, well, leave a message in the comments if you know something different. So the first toolpath I ran was with the 5100, a roughing toolpath. And it went through and it left a rough outline of the trees and the shovel and the pick. And it did a good job. Now when I went to run the second toolpath, what happened was that second toolpath followed the depth of the first toolpath and thought it was going deeper. And it ended up wiping out the trees, as you can see right here on the bottom of the door. It started to cut those trees right there, and it went right, you know, through half of the trees. So right away I figured, okay, what am I going to do now? I want to salvage this project, and I still, you know, a lot of time goes into, you know, the CNC work and the laminating and everything. So what I ended up doing, I figured out right away that you can't run, or at least I couldn't do it, multiple roughing tool pass before the finishing tool pass. You can only do one pass, or one roughing tool pass. It can be, you can make 10 passes with it, but you basically, it needs to be one roughing tool path and one finishing tool path, according to what I've seen so far in this program. So what I did was, I went ahead, after the second toolpath failed, what I did was I went into the program and I deleted all the toolpaths. I drew a square around the shovel and the pick, and I ran a roughing toolpath and a finishing toolpath on just that square. And then I decided, okay, what am I going to do? What am I going to do on the bottom where it wiped out the trees? So I ran another tool. I drew another square down there, and I ran another tool path and surfaced that whole area down, I don't know, about 3/4 of an inch. The depth that it was at originally in that low part on the right. And so I basically did a pocketing tool path, another square down there, and cleaned that all up. And then I thought, okay, I don't have enough thickness to do another 3D drawing down there, but what if I did a saying about some miners, like some kind of famous saying. And so I looked around and I found a famous a saying by Abraham Lincoln. And so what I did was I ended up running another, so I did a pocketing toolpath down there to clean that up, and then I did another, I wrote a program for a little V-carve into that pocketing toolpath, or the pocketing area, and basically I V-carved a little saying on the bottom of the door. And I thought that turned out cool. Let me know what you think of it in the comments. And right here, so after I get all the CNC work and the V-carve done and kind of get it all cleaned up the way I wanted, now take in mind I got to make 2 of these doors identical, so all the mistakes I made, it's going to be a challenge to make that second door. Anyway, right here I go through, I sand off all the glue, I check for anything bad that I don't want to have in there, and basically just get it all cleaned up. Mostly just getting any kind of marks or glue off of the wood. Pretty simple, using a little Makita orbital sander. I didn't have the dust collection on the sander in the beginning, but I figured out right away to get that hooked up. Once I get all the sanding done and get the letters painted, it was then time to make the metal frame. And I thought making a metal frame around it, not only would it make it stronger, but it would also make it a little rustic looking, kind of like a miner's. You know, whenever you see these old mines, there's wood and steel and stuff laying around. So I thought that would look cool. So right here, I'm using 2x2 angle iron and welding together this frame. I'm using a Hobart 110 welder, which I've had for quite a few years now, and it's always been really good. It works really well. Right here I'm welding the last corner, and here it is with the frame, carriage bolts, and all pretty complete at this point. Right here I get started putting now these are barn doors, so they have barn door hardware and wheels on the top, and they roll back and forth. And right here I'm getting set up a laser and made a bunch of marks, and I'm gonna basically get this top track installed. Now while I'm installing this track, you can see in the background the Avid CNC machine running. It's cutting the second door. Each one of these doors took about 24 hours of CNC time to make, and even though they took a long time, I'm pretty happy with how they turned out. Here you can see door number 1 up on the rack, and I think it's going to look pretty good. And there you go, two full-size doors created on my CNC. This is pretty much the biggest 3D thing I've tried to do. Basically, I've got the pick and the shovel, and then the V-carve down below. It says, "All creation is a mine, and every man a miner." I thought that was kind of cool, because that's what I like to do, is create stuff in my CNC shop. Anyway, yeah, these are some barn doors on rollers, and yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. So just a reference for one of these doors. One door took about 25 hours to do the CNC work on this door, and I made quite a few mistakes. Actually, I made a couple mistakes. The first mistake, I think I told you about it in the drawing. You can't do 2 roughing toolpaths. You have to just do 1 roughing toolpath and then follow it up with the finishing toolpath. I don't know if I'm wrong about that. Let me know in the comments. The software I'm using is Aspire by Vectric, and it doesn't seem to do. I was hoping that I could do a roughing toolpath that cut away a lot of the big stuff, and then I would do a smaller bit, and it would go down and get tighter and closer. But I found out that didn't work for me, so I had to just go back in, use a small bit, a lot a lot of passes to cut through all that much material. And basically, yeah, that's what I did to get it done. Anyway, yeah, this is my new barn doors for my CNC shop. Thanks very much for watching the video and subscribing, and all the people that put a thumbs up and stuff. I really appreciate it. And it's fun making stuff. I enjoy it. And anyway, yeah, thank you. Thanks again for watching. Let me know in the comments what you think. You know, I live up in the mountains, and there's a lot of miners and, you know, mines. We go out cruising around, and I thought this would be kind of a cool thing. Originally, like in the drawing, I had the trees, but actually, sometimes when you make a mistake, it works out for the better. Anyway, thanks again, and I will see you next time. Later.
Work hard, get dough. I can't get no sleep, which make my life more simple. But I wouldn't trade a thing for what I have. I go hard, do